I am diving into the world of horror as I challenge myself to watch and analyze scary movies that are actually based on real events. Can I handle the truth behind the terror? Horror films have always been a staple of entertainment, but what draws audiences to them is the thrill and fear they evoke. And when you add the fact that some of these movies are based on real events, it's a whole different level of scary. The line between fact and fiction in horror movies can be blurry, and filmmakers often take liberties with true stories to make them more dramatic and thrilling. This can lead to some creative storytelling, but it also raises questions about what's real and what's not. As a viewer, it is easy to get caught up in the excitement of a scary movie without stopping to think about how much of it is actually based on truth. Many horror movies claim to be inspired by real events, but the truth is often distorted or exaggerated for the sake of entertainment. The challenge of distinguishing fact from fiction is a big part of what makes horror movies so fascinating. Filmmakers use this blurred line to their advantage, creating stories that are both terrifying and thought-provoking. The concept of horror movies based on real events is nothing new, and many classic films have used this approach to create some truly terrifying tales. Films like The Conjuring and Texas Chainsaw Massacre are great examples of this, with stories that are rooted in real events, but also heavily dramatized for the screen. The true story behind The Conjuring is particularly interesting, involving paranormal investigators Ede and Lorraine Warren and their investigation of a haunted farmhouse. The film takes some creative liberties with the story, but the core of it is based on real events. The true story behind Texas Chainsaw Massacre is also worth exploring, with the film's events loosely based on the real-life story of Ed Gein, a serial killer who wore a mask made of human skin. The film's story is largely fictional, but it's rooted in the dark and disturbing reality of Gein's crime. These films are just a few examples of how horror movies can take real events and turn them into something truly terrifying. The combination of fact and fiction is what makes these films so compelling. And it's a big part of why audiences are drawn to them. The true story behind some horror movies can be even more shocking than the film itself, and this is often what makes them so fascinating. The fact that some of these stories are based on real events is what makes them truly terrifying. And it's a testament to the power of horror movies to evoke strong emotions in audiences. One particularly shocking true story is that of the Perron family, who claim to have experienced paranormal activity in their farmhouse. The story was later adapted into The Conjuring, but the real story is even more chilling. The family's experiences were well documented, and they involved some truly bizarre and unexplained events. The Perron family's story is a great example of how reality can be more terrifying than fiction, and it's a big part of what makes horror movies so compelling. The fact that these events actually happened is what makes them so chilling, and it's a testament to the power of horror movies to evoke strong emotions in audiences. The combination of fact and fiction is what makes these films so fascinating, and it's a big part of why audiences are drawn to them. The true story behind some horror movies can be even more shocking than the film itself, and this is often what makes them so fascinating. In the end, It's clear that horror movies based on real events are a staple of the genre, and they continue to fascinate audiences to this day. The combination of fact and fiction is what makes these films so compelling, and is a big part of why audiences are drawn to them. If you've got a favorite scary movie based on true events, let me know in the comments. And don't forget to check out my other videos on similar topics.